What's up, my friends here in Facebook land? I'm so grateful to be coming live on Facebook this Easter Sunday. Easter is always a fun time of the year because it's when the weather is really typically nice outside here in Utah and you start to feel like a human being again. So I don't know, a lot of you guys know my background. I grew up around the LDS Mormon culture, right? So for me, the idea of Christ was always a part of my, I guess, what do you call it, my conditioning, what I learned growing up. And so there's always this day, Easter, right, that I've had from the beginning, and a lot of people have had Easter in their life, but sometimes we all have different perceptions or perspectives of what the resurrection is. And I wanted to share with you guys kind of a little bit of my opinion on the idea of resurrection and how I've been able to use it in my life, okay? I went through this course a few years ago. You might have heard of it, Landmark Worldwide. It was really, really cool. That was when I definitely got that. Hey, what's up, Chad? Thanks for hopping on. That's when I definitely got that I've been doing things a certain way my entire life because of I was afraid of the mistakes that I had made, right? And growing up, we continue to make these mistakes or these setbacks or these failures every step of our life, right? Maybe we made a bad investment. Maybe we, treat our spouse bad, or we have an addiction, or, maybe you lied or you stole or you cheated, or you just plain messed up. Right? Maybe some of y'all been arrested before. I remember I was arrested in ninth grade, right? 8th or ninth grade. I've had to deal with stupid mistakes my whole life, right? But it's the ability to look at that mistake, right, and forgive yourself. And that's where most people get stuck, is they tend to then beat themselves up. Hey, I just noticed over my shoulder. Check out that sweet drawing right there. That's what my daughter's doing. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it is fantastic, so I thought I'd point it out. So you look at this mistake and you forgive yourself for what you've let down. Maybe you let down yourself or someone else, and understand I can't change the past. And as our friend Tupac Shakur always says, you can't go rolling forward if you're looking in the rearview mirror, right? Or however the hell he says it. But the point is, if you're always looking at the past, it's fun. The other night I spent probably a good 30 minutes just thinking about memories from my life that I enjoyed, that I loved, right? From traveling to Bangkok, to Brazil, to Beijing, the time that we almost I thought we were going to die from Beijing to Bangkok, thinking about when we spent time at the World Cup, thinking about different adventures in the wilderness when I was a kid, like friends when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. Like you think about these memories and you kind of get stuck in them. And whoop, knocked my phone over, my bad. And so that's cool to reminisce a little bit, but the problem is we get stuck in these memories of when we let someone down, or we lost money, or we broke our arm, or we got hurt by, someone broke our heart, whatever it is, right? And so then we go to look forward and we anticipate that it's going to continue to happen. How can you know if this is you that's stuck in this spot? How are you physically? Where are you at with your health and your nutrition and your physical body, right? I think it can be fairly accepted that if you're overweight, if you're unhealthy, then you're clearly not all there in that realm, right? Maybe you've been neglecting this in your relationships, right? If you're constantly fighting with your spouse, or you're not seeing eye to eye, or worse, you're freaking not doing things together all the time, or not seeing on the same page all the time, then you probably have some making up to do in that space. Maybe financially you're broke, or you got a bunch of debt, or you spend everything you got before you even got it. Whatever it is, okay? That's a place. So you start to identify these sections, and then you can allow yourself to forgive yourself. Say, hey, you know what? I take full responsibility for getting myself in this spot. I forgive myself. Right? And this takes a little bit of some inner work and some time, but once you forgive yourself, that's when you can resurrect, right? You can rise up and you can move forward with what it is you want to create. Now you're looking forward to opportunity to create. I want to go travel to Nicaragua. I want to take and go on the rickshaw run in India. I want to have the best coaches and trainers for my daughters. I want them to be able to go to their, travel when they go to their tournaments and their meets. I want to be able to have them wear nice clothes and be able to invest my money and hit certain net worth, right? You start to think in a different direction. right? And so I would suggest that we take a look at this day, whether you're Christian or not Christian. It's definitely aware of your consciousness, the idea of Easter and the idea of Christ rising up. Think about how could you apply that into your life? Where do you need to forgive yourself and where do you need to rise up? And how can you do that? What do you got? Where do you got to forgive yourself? Okay, that's typically what I would say the third most important energy and emotion is that we can develop. Number one being compassion, number two being gratitude. When you mix that in with forgiveness, whether of yourself or other people, that's when you can really start to focus on the opportunity, focus on the good, focus on the great, focus on the possibility. Because I'll tell you what, guys, there's a lot of negative energy to focus on right now, from politics to world foreign affairs to the financial outlook to, I mean, everything. And I want to be very clear with you guys. There's not much change today than there was 10 years ago, 25 years ago, or even 100 years ago as far as the patterns and the beliefs and the circulation of human society. What is different today, though, I would reach out on a limb and say this is the amount of speed of how quickly information is transferred across the world, right? And not to mention when a story or a topic or a trend pops up, right? Now all of a sudden people want to be first to talk about that trend. People want to be glamorous about this trend. People want to have inside information about that trend, right? So then you start to, for example, the situation with Syria and Russia, right? Now news agencies want to be one of the first to broadcast information on that topic because it's such a widely sought after viewing point from the perception of the internet world that they want to then make it glamorous so they get more eyes. More eyes equals more profits, more revenues for their businesses, right? And what happens is because the speed of that information and the dramatization of all of the information out there now begins to create that perception of anticipation or desire to want more or that attachment to the outcome. And so now that consumes part of the focus and your focus becomes there versus going over here and creating life on your terms. And anything could be grabbing your focus. That's just one example, right? It could be maybe you got an issue with watching Netflix or maybe just simply wasting time. I don't know what people have to deal with anymore, but where does your information go? Is it going to negative? Or is it going to positive? Is it going to hate, fear, doubt, worries? Is it going to love and abundance and passion? And the sooner that you can forgive yourself, right, you can resurrect yourself from all of your mistakes. So I got news for you. Everyone's fucking made mistakes. Everyone has made mistakes, right? And once you can accept that you are one of those people that makes mistakes and is going to continue to make mistakes, and then that way, when you do make mistakes in the future, like, well, shit, I made some mistakes. I can't change that now. Obviously, I want to make things right through the mistake, but I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it. I'm not going to sit there and get the anxiety and the lull and the blaming and the victim mentality that I'm not good enough, right? It's because if you analyze what's causing that, it's really just these stories up in your head. And then you just you quit creating the story, it goes away. The anxiety goes away, the fear goes away, the hate goes away, the despair goes away. And now all of a sudden, space has to, time has to fill that space, that energy. And so you allow, like a vacuum, as that energy sucks away from you, love is implanted into your world. And when you can get into that space, does not matter what's happening on the planet or in your head, you can always get back to that place. Life just turns into a beautiful experience. And I don't know about you guys, I don't want to live till I'm 105 years old just being afraid of everything, being afraid of not being able to live because I don't have enough money, being afraid of dying on a plane wreck, being afraid of dying in World War III, being afraid of our president being in cahoots with Russia, being afraid of blah, 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 an earthquake, a tornado, a tsunami, getting abducted. It doesn't matter. Shit happens all the time, but there's a lot more good that's happening, right? I look at my life. Yeah, I've had some goofy things happen in my life, but I've had a lot more just awesome shit happen in my life. And in fact, most of the stuff that I thought was a problem that happened in my life, it turned out it was a really great experience. It was like one of my favorite parts of my life and my experience on the journey to my destinations. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Appreciate you. Hope you have an awesome Sunday, an awesome Easter. And my invitation to you would be to forgive yourself, allow yourself to resurrect, focus on the positive things in your life, the compassion, the gratitude, and the forgiveness, and let the opportunity open up for you. Open up your heart for amazing things because you're worth it. Continue to live life the way everyone else is, and then get into their 40s and 50s and 60s overweight and broke. That's the option. Or the other option is, you know what, I'm gonna live my 30s like I could have never even dreamt.